SMART24, driving business.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. A very good morning to you wherever you're watching from. This is SMART24 TV. We drive your business, and my name is Anthony Sebale and I am your host. Remember, the show is proudly brought to you by Altex East Africa. This is financial markets where we get to break down some of the investments portfolios of different people and get to give you the live updates from the different financial markets across the globe. You can always join in the conversation via our Twitter, that is at SMART24 TV, and you can as well join in via YouTube at SMART24 TV Live on our live stream there. And we shall be able, of course, to get the best and the latest of what's happening in the financial markets world. Altex East Africa, under the new Zabu initiative, are giving you a chance to be an investor in the treasury bond market. Now, in times like these where the economy is not at its best, usually some of the safest investments one can make are through treasury bonds. Altex East Africa is your private stock exchange licensed by the Capital Markets Authority, and they do give you an opportunity to invest in treasury bonds across East Africa. We are talking about the best interest rates that are known on the continent and in the region, particularly here in Uganda, Tanzania and Kenya. With Altex East Africa, what they're bringing on board is also the fact that you can buy using mobile money. Now, that's quite new. You don't see that very often. You can go and get to the Altex website, www.altex.com, to learn more about their products, but you can start with as little as 15,000 shillings, 20,000, 100,000, name it, 1 million, a billion shillings. They can be able to invest all that money for you and get you a return. Currently, their interest rates, we do have the 4-year treasury bonds, 2031 maturing, and then we do have some that are currently about 10 years, and we do have some that are 20 years and up to 30 years when it comes to Kenya bonds. And all these are coming your way at an interest rate of above 14%. We do have 15, 16, 17%. So right now, the treasury bond market is up there, and you must be checking it out in order for you to take advantage of what's happening there at Altex East Africa. Now, besides that, let's get to look at some of the trading here that happened yesterday. But before we do that, let's get updates from Bank of Uganda, of course, on the current interest rates. The central bank rate is currently still at 10%. And after the Monetary Policy Committee meeting that was held on the 7th of December 2022, they do have a fixed, they didn't actually remove the 10%. And the Bank of Uganda Governor, Dr. Michael Atingi Ego, mentioned that inflation is easing compared to the month of September, October. The month of November did not experience as much increment or escalation in the rates there as per data from the Bank of Uganda. And currently, that's of course looking at the interest rate at exactly 10%. That is the central bank rate, but the lending rate is at 18.4%, and the time deposit rate is at exactly 10.8% of what we have there on the market. Currently, the US dollar also buys 3,638.29 and sells 3,648.29 as well. The bonds market here, looking at the treasury bond, treasury bills of 91 days, currently at 11.46%, and the 182-day bills at exactly 12.3%. This is according to Bank of Uganda. Now, leaving the bond markets, let's get to some of the stocks here on the different exchanges in Africa. And we'll start with, of course, an overview looking at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange gaining over 48.09 on the last day of trading. And when you look at Nairobi Stock Exchange, it shed off 0.42 points for its trading yesterday. A Nigerian Stock Exchange added about 59.25 points. And as well, when you look at the Ghana Stock Exchange, they added nothing. Absolutely nothing was added to the Ghana Stock Exchange, maintaining their value at 0.00 points there on their last day of trading. Uganda Securities Exchange did not have quite a good day, and looking at the trading here as per the Uganda Stock Exchange, we had just one company participate in trading with only one gainer, and that was Nation Media Group. The participant was MTN Uganda, who traded about 625 shares on the market. As we head towards Christmas, definitely there's slow activity on the market. People are going for holidays, and probably not many people are going out there to buy shares right now. And I believe it is the same story probably for you out there. But of course, business is continuing, and we must of course keep track of our companies. We must keep track of our investments. We must keep track of what's happening on the markets. Nation Media Group, who was the top gainer, gained about 3.51%. And the losing side, we did have Equity Bank lose about 0.88% of their trading price, currently counting about 1,338.95 Ugandan shillings per share, followed by East African Breweries Limited at 0.79% and Centum Investments at 0.59% off, and Kenya Airways lost about 0.33% as well. Looking at the benchmark index, that is the all-share index, it paired about 0.44 points, which was a 0.04% depreciation for the day. Basically, the loss is attributable to the cross listings like Equity Bank as well as East African Breweries and Centum that continue to lose in the day's trading. Kenya Airways as well following suit. But currently, when you look at the points, we have actually gone down. The index was counting about 1,212 at last week's tradings. Currently, the index has about 1,197.88 points. In 1 week, that means we've lost 1.24%. And in 4 weeks, we've lost 1.55%. Now, that's a very significant loss there. It seems we are not going to end the year as we might have expected, probably because of the slow activity now and now getting into the festive season. Definitely, we don't expect much to arise from the trading between now and the 1st of January. And remember, when it comes to stock markets, that counts a lot. Every second counts a lot towards the end of the year, because how you end the year determines how you're going to start the new year. Now, starting of course tomorrow, starting on the 1st of January, we'll be counting another year. Now, another year means year-to-date performances are going to have to change. Different stocks will start, of course, looking out for their goals. And then, of course, even the people that are giving out their quarterly reports on the different companies, giving out financial statements, financial reports for how they have actually been able to perform in the year 2022. They will definitely be also giving out the earnings. What have they been able to bring on table? What are the investors benefiting from these companies? So there is nothing much we should really expect, especially towards the end of this year. But that counts a lot, because as we begin the year, everyone wants to begin strong. And as well, you as an investor, if you're going to start a new year, evaluate yourself. Look at the assets you've invested in. If you have invested in, for example, MTN Uganda, what has it returned? Are you going to change your stocks for 2023? Which sector are you thinking towards? Are you going into the telecommunications? Are you going into the financial institutions? This year, particularly, financial institutions have done quite well. For example, Stanbic Bank Uganda, being a topmost trader for the last 3 months, but as well maintaining their price above 20 shillings. Of course, yes, they did have a year-to-date loss from 26 to 21 shillings. But that is not as important as the fact that they are the most traded on stock. Now that counts a lot. It means people are interested in buying this stock. So that is a stock you can probably consider for the new year. Maybe you're looking at the turnover of Umeme. Umeme is going to exit Uganda in 2025. That is on the 1st of March 2025. We have almost about 2 years to go. What does that bring on the table? What do you think is going to be the reaction of investors? We've seen Umeme trade huge volumes this year, but as well, the turnover of Umeme was really, really good, comparing that, of course, with other companies in the similar sector. Like, for example, the Nairobi Stock Exchange, you're looking at Kenya Power and Lighting Company and the like. Umeme has done so well. They have put up a good performance. So, as an investor, right now, you should be focused on your portfolio looking forward in 2023. What do you want from the year 2023? Which companies do you think are going to make it for you in the next year? In the last, of course, when you look at the next year, you must have to look into the history. Which are the good dividend policy companies? Which companies issue dividends? Are you looking at dividends? Are you looking at capital gain? How are you benefiting from the stock market? So all that put in perspective, you are in position now to make a decision on which investments particularly you can make on your own this year. So that aside, we are seeing that MTN was the only entity that traded, and they traded just about 625 shares on the market. Currently, MTN has a market capitalization of 4.03 trillion Ugandan shillings, which makes about 19.5% of the entire Uganda securities equities market. And when you look at MTN stock as well, this year they did have ups and downs, starting the year with the price of over 194.9 Ugandan shillings, and currently at 180.0 Ugandan shillings per share. They have lost 7.69%. What does that show? Well, the company has a little more work to do next year to see that probably they get back to even their initial public offer pricing, that is at 200 shillings, which is the dream of those shareholders that actually bought on the initial public offer right now. Currently, MTN is the third most traded on stock on the market. A very significant achievement for the company, and this is within the last 3 months of trading, from the 22nd of September to the 21st of December 2022. Uganda, at MTN Uganda, within this period, they have had over 6.22 million shares that have been traded, and over a 1.13 billion Ugandan shillings turnover. Now, that is something to celebrate at MTN, but on average, they did have about 98,792 shares traded per day. Every trading session they were able to trade, and a volume high of 1.05 million shares was achieved on the 18th of October in this same period. From yesterday's trades, at 625 shares, they collected just about 112,500. That's as much as they could get from these 625 shares. But MTN continues to be the youngest company to be able to list on the stock exchange so far, making just a year. just a few days ago on the 6th of December. They made their they had their first anniversary on the Uganda Securities Exchange there as well. This year as well, MTN has been, of course, through a change of administration from now Mr. Wim van Helput, who was the CEO for over the past 9 years, if I'm not mistaken, and now currently to Miss Mulinge, who is from Safaricom, who came from Safaricom actually, and now currently is the chief executive officer for MTN Uganda. That is about how much changes MTN Uganda has been able to go through this year, currently 2022. Now looking at their shares outstanding, they still have over 22.4 billion shares on the market out there floating. So you can as well consider buying some stock at MTN Uganda. Now looking at the summary of trading here, like I said, on the Uganda Stock Exchange, we didn't have much activity last trading day, and when you look at the market capitalization, it actually remained at 20 trillion, and this is a contraction from 21 trillion a few days ago. So even our market capitalization has been, of course, affected by these particular poor performance that was registered on the last day of trading. Currently also the market analysis shows that the local company index, that is the LCI, is currently counting 270.49 points. Nothing changed really on this particular one for the last day of trading, representing a 1 week loss, however, of 0.73%. Just a few days ago, Umeme appreciated from 210 shillings to 241 shillings. Now that, of course, pushed the local company index upwards, but because of the poor performance currently, especially from stocks like Stanbic Bank Uganda, who have actually shed off some of their values. Stanbic shed off over 2 shillings from 23 to 21 shillings on Tuesday. So that definitely affected the weekly performance of the local company index, going down by 0.73%, down to 270.49 points. That is, of course, the USE local company index as well. Now, a 4-week gain of 0.44% is still being rejoiced at the local company index, meaning at least in 1 month at least we've gained. But still, year-to-date loss currently are about 16.69% that have been actually lost. That's it from the Uganda Stock Exchange. Remember, to buy shares, you must have an account, that is a Securities Central Depository. That account will get you to different stock brokers. These stock brokers help to buy and sell shares on your behalf. And if you want to be part of the action here at the exchange, consider going to the website of the Uganda Securities Exchange in order to open that account. You go to www.use.or.ug and then you go to Easy Portal. Now, Easy Portal is where you actually make the move to be able to open that account. When you open the account, you visit any of the stock brokers, the 5 of them. That is UAP Old Mutual. We do have Standard Bank Group Securities. We have UAP, Crested Capital, and as well as Cheaper Technologies, who is the new one on the list. And then we have, when you look at Dyer and Blair Investments as well, they can help you buy shares or sell shares on the stock exchange, particularly if you are interested and you're a first-time investor. It will be great for you to work with a licensed stockbroker to get to take you around and through what happens on the market. We are going to take a very quick commercial break, and remember to check out Altex during the break. At Altex, we say do something new. So if you want to do something new, visit www.altex.com, and you can also dial *292# to buy the latest bonds across East Africa, in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and at the best interest rates in the land. Altex East Africa is regulated by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda. Stay with us. We are taking a short break. Return shortly.
SMART24, driving business.
The taste of Uganda in a new international park.
Honey?
Yes, honey.
Magaleyo. Empira jawedde ensonche nkanti jeyo titereke owai. Nindo mwako ogujja. Enalabira oli kapu. Yangwa.
Hano okola kyogezaako kukitereeza.
Empira jawedde. Kaziba jawedde ntiba kikyakola kati njagala kukola kinjagala kukijjayo nkitereke ninde mwako ogujja. Oli kapu ngazeemu.
Badde ndi mulaba kazanyo kayi ku Palm Magic Prime ne katunu w'abaana.
Mubiyogedde empira guluwa.
Hello? Wamanya mbona omunnyonnyole.
There's more to enjoy this festive season. Keep your subscription active from 19th December to 24th January 2023 and we'll upgrade you to the next package for free.
SMART24, driving business.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying tuned. This is SMART24 TV and we drive your business. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Anthony Sebali. And if you have any comments on the show, you please drop them there, and as well on our YouTube live stream at SMART24 TV Live on YouTube. Those of you on Facebook as well, you can check us out at SMART24 TV Official and on Instagram at SMART24 _TV. So you can also get to check us out there, and we'll be very, very glad if you get feedback from you, our dear viewers. The show is Financial Markets, and it's brought to you by Altex East Africa, your #1 private stock exchange. Now, in the whole of East Africa, there hasn't been a single stock exchange that has, of course, integrated mobile money into the world of investing in the markets. Now, Altex East Africa has just done that with simply a dial of *292#. You can be able to register, be able to open an account, be able to bypass all the intermediaries of stock brokerage and so on, and be able to access the bond market. What is the bond market? A bond market is where we find treasury bonds and treasury bills, but in particular here we focus on the treasury bonds. Now, treasury bonds are long-term transferable debt instruments that are issued by government through the central bank. Now, the central bank, of course, issues these instruments on behalf of the government at various interest rates, depending, of course, on their own discretion. Now, at Altex East Africa, the beauty we are giving you is you don't have to go to the central bank. You don't have to go to the stockbroker. All you need to do is dial *292#. When you do that, we'll be able to give you all the list of the favorite bonds that are probably on the market, and you will be able to get the interest rates on your phone. You will be able to learn more about the products. You will be able to transfer money off of your mobile money onto the exchange to be able to invest. The beauty of the Altex Stock Exchange is unspeakable, and you must check it out yourself to prove what I'm actually talking about. The markets open at 15 past 8 a.m. and as I speak, of course, the trading is going on right now, so you can be able to dial that figure right now on your phone, and you will be able to buy bonds. But we do close the markets at 15 minutes past 3 p.m. All that is East Africa Standard Time. Before we went into the break, of course, we did look at the Uganda Stock Exchange and the markets there, but let's get to crossover to Nairobi a little bit and see how the day went down in Nairobi. Now, Nairobi didn't have a good day as well on their stock exchange, basically based on the data from their last day's trading. According to data from the Nairobi Stock Exchange, 49 equities participated in trading, and this brought about 19 gainers and 20 losers with them for the day. Nairobi Business Ventures this time came out on top with a gain of 9.03%, and this is appreciating to a 3.38 Kenyan shillings per share. Now, let's look at Nairobi Business Ventures before we then get into the other companies, because this is a very, very interesting stock. Nairobi Business Ventures is a Kenyan shoemaker. Basically, they make leather shoes. They do also operate retails, and these are under the brand name K Shoe. So it's a shoe company, very simple business. Currently, the company has about 1.66 billion Kenyan shillings worth of market capitalization, and this represents about the 36th most valuable stock. Now, that's quite significant, and this is where sometimes we go wrong in Uganda. We don't want our small companies to list, and I'm very grateful to the Uganda Stock Exchange for putting in place an initiative known as EDALA. This initiative helps small companies, small and medium companies, medium-sized enterprises, probably worth 100 million, 200 million. These give the board, of course, on which these are going to get to be listed is not the main board, but they get to be prepared for the main board. This is what we are seeing on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Nairobi has still other segments. They do have the alternate segment, the main market segment. They do have the growth market segment, and we did have a growth enterprise segment here as well in Uganda, but it hasn't worked out so well. So Uganda Securities Exchange has brought in place a dollar to accept the smaller companies. If you are out there and you want to know what it takes to get to an exchange, you want to know how to be a participant, you want to know the requirements, you don't have to first have all the requirements. Just come to the dollar, and then you take a step-by-step sort of movement until you become worthy to be listed on the main board. This capital market, or the financial market, is there to collect capital. That's why we call it a capital market. Basically for people looking for capital, and it's the cheapest capital you can ever find, for Christ's sake. So that is what I credit about Nairobi Stock Exchange. You find companies like Nairobi Business Ventures. It's not an agglomerate with very glamorous, financial reports, and no, but it is the 36th most valuable on the stock exchange. So please, if you're out there and you're a business owner, consider getting to list on the stock exchange. Consider making your company public someday, sometime. Now, Nairobi Business Ventures has about 0.083% of the entire equities market here on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, making it the 36th most valuable stock. Currently, when you look at their share price, they are at 3.38 Kenyan shillings per share on the stock exchange. They have about 492 million shares outstanding currently on the stock exchange, and the market capitalization of over 1.66 billion Kenyan shillings. They did begin the year with about 6.06 Kenyan shillings, and since then they have lost 44.2% of their trading price, and this makes them the 61st on terms of year-to-date performance. Nairobi Business Ventures, however, very interesting fact here, is the 16th most traded on stock on the Nairobi Stock Exchange in this period of the last 3 months. And within this period, they have traded over 3.69 million shares on the stock exchange, and representing about a total market value of about 13.1 million Kenyan shillings. Now, that's a company that makes shoes over 13 million Kenyan shillings in just 3 months. What performance there from such companies. So if you're out there, there's a small business, you can consider as well listing your stocks. It's very beneficial, not only in terms of gaining capital, but the reputation. I mean, look at all the financial institutions that are listed and those that are not listed. Be very honest. Which ones are more prestigious when it comes to society, the way they are perceived? So even the perception of your business will actually change if you are a public company. It means people can trust you. So if the exchange, people can trust you through the exchange and buy shares, the public can trust you. It means they can trust your product, right? By the time you get to list, my friend, you definitely have a legitimate product, a worthy product, a market-worthy product. So you must be able to consider some of these opportunities as well. In the second place, we had Express Kenya. Express Kenya, by the way, has been doing well as well, just quite recently. Express Kenya gained about 4.86% on the last day of trading. And HF Group as well gained about 4.26%, as well as Uchumi Supermarket, Britam Holdings, who gained about 3.42%. Now, on the losing side, unfortunately, Uchumi Supermarket continued to be a loser at a 3.7% loss here, and about 0.26 Kenyan shillings closing price. The company was also followed by Scan Group, who lost about 3.13%, and Jubilee Holdings at 2.38%. Jubilee Holdings is an insurance company as well listed there. TPS East Africa Serena lost a 2.25% of their trading price. Equity Group Holdings recorded the biggest volume for the day, about 4.25 million shares. There's been a lot of fuss about equity, and I see now that it's becoming more consistent. And whenever there's such movements, you must question as an investor, what are other people seeing that I am not able to see? So Equity Group Holdings held about 4.25 million shares just in a single day. We are used to Safaricom coming on top, but this time Equity Group looks like it's overtaking Safaricom. Now, as well, Safaricom sold the second position at 2.79 million shares that were recorded on the last day of trading. A KCB Group also recorded 2.43 million shares, and Kengen Group a 1.2 million shares volume. Now, these volumes are compared with the previous day showed 113% improvement, and this of course is a good thing for Nairobi Stock Exchange. And the turnover, however, as well recorded a gain of about just 58%, and this was at 455 million Kenyan shillings in total. Currently also the market capitalization of the Nairobi Stock Exchange is at 1.99 trillion Kenyan shillings. Looking at the indexes, Kenya has a number of them. We do have the benchmark, which is the Nairobi Stock Exchange All-Share Index, as well as the other indexes like the NSE 20 and the NSE 25. The NSE benchmark index, that is the All-Share Index, paired about 0.19 points, closing at 128.16 points. And when you look at the NSE 20, it's gained about 0.07%, and the NSE 25 shed of 0.11% of their pricing there. on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And my friend, there you have it. That was the trading from the Nairobi Stock Exchange. You can buy shares here. And according to Mr. Odundo Godfrey, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Nairobi Stock Exchange, very soon we could have the Nairobi Stock Exchange and all East African stock exchanges uniting into one. This would be a great way to integrate business in East Africa, but also to have a one-stop center for all your stock market needs in East Africa. It would be great, and this will also cut costs, the different, of course, costs that are involved in buying stocks, and the different intermediaries where you have to go to stockbrokers. If you're trading in a different country, they have different stockbrokers that are licensed there, and if you're trading in another one, they have others. So to cut off all that, the stock exchange is saying we can have an integration of our market and have a one-stop center for all the trading on the stocks here in East Africa. Let's get now to the other stock exchanges in Africa. Let's go to Nigeria. In Nigeria, we did have a gain in their benchmark index, and we did have about 100 stocks or equities participate in the day's trading. The day ended with 21 gainers and over about 11 losers. University Press led the gainers at a 9.83% gain, appreciating to 1.9 Nigerian Naira. Remember, one Nigerian Naira has about 4 Ugandan shillings, so you can always make that conversion. Thomas Wyatt, Nigeria, gained about 9.68%, and Africa Prudential led also by 9.35%, as well as Champion Breweries at 4.88% on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Currently looking at the losing side, Japol Gold and Ventures came out last with an end of day price depreciation of 3.7% at 0.26 Nigerian Naira, and followed by Mutual Benefits Assurance at a 3.5% depreciation as well. FTN Cocoa Processors lost 3.33%, and Wema Bank lost a 2.73% on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. UPDC Real Estate Holdings led Investment Trust, led the gainers, recorded about 245 million traded shares. Now that's a huge amount of shares as well on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. It was followed by FBN Holdings and Geregu Power, who gained about 25 million shares for their last day of trading. Regarding the performance of the benchmark index, the Nigerian All-Share Index inched up about 59.25 points, and this was to 0.12% gain there on the market, closing at exactly 49,475.43 points. Away from the Nigerian Stock Exchange, let's get to look at Lusaka. Lusaka is also a great stock exchange from Zambia there. Remember, we want to give you all the data so you have different options and you don't have any excuses when it comes to investing. So this is what we are all about. Lusaka Stock Exchange had 10 Lusaka Securities Exchange equities participate in trading last day of trading. There were no gainers nor losers for the day. Copperbelt Energy Corporation recorded the biggest volume of about 10,300 shares, and Standard Chartered Bank about 8,893 shares, and Zambeef, that is a beef products company there, at 1,700 shares, and Zambia National Commercial Bank at 900 shares volume. Lusaka Stock Exchange All-Share Index did not see any changes, closing at the same mark as it opened at 7,337.28 points. Now let's get to other markets as well across Africa. And lastly, I want to look at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which is the major stock exchange here in Africa. According to data here from AFX Stock Exchange, we did have about 316 companies participating in trading, and that the day ended with 201 gainers and 94 losers. On the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, Skoda EUR rate led the gainers at 11.45% gain at a share price of about 18.4 rand, South African rand there on the South African market. Labat Africa gained about 11.11%, and Liberty 2 Degrees gained about 10.64%, whereas Universal Partners at about 10.03%. That was from the South African exchange there at Johannesburg Stock Exchange trading. Now in summary, getting to look at the stocks in the United States. Have you known the top 20 stocks that you're going to invest in the year 2023 in the United States? We have an idea, of course, to say that the US tech stocks, technology stocks like Google, Facebook have had a bad year. 2022 is an understatement, because obviously we've had a lot of hullabaloo on the market from some of these companies. Now we want to see some of the best and worst stocks on the exchange at the US Stock Exchange in the US as well. According to of course the data from different sources, the litany of problems includes the difficulty year-over-year comparisons to 2021's pandemic era highs and the rising interest rates, as well as the highest inflation numbers in decades, and supply chain bottlenecks caused by COVID-19 lockdowns in China being some of the problems that the tech stocks have had to wrestle with this year. All combined to work big tech stock prices, and the bleeding hasn't stopped yet as the year comes to a close. Poor digital ad sales, recession fears, and a slowdown in consumer spending on products like personal computers, hammered social media firms, chip makers, and even managed to eat into cloud growth. These are some of the sectors that have been affected. All of that is to say 2022 has been a year of bad and worse for the stocks on technology companies. To the end, we do have put together a basket of some of those biggest tech companies to compare how their shares have performed this year. And when you look at Apple, for example, Apple this year, a stock that's seen its price, is a stock that has actually seen its price drop more than 25% year to date. Now that's a great loss there, and would likely be among the worst performers any other year. And but 2022 wasn't like most years. So here we are looking at Apple sitting at the top of the company's gain here. The company kicked off the year with its best first quarter revenue to date, which is about $123.9 billion US, and continued that trend through the fourth quarter. But Apple also suffered as foreign exchange rates cut 3% from its overall revenue numbers in the third quarter. Looking at Microsoft started off 2022 with a strong showing from its all-important intelligent cloud business, which includes Azure platforms. And while the division continued to grow throughout the year, it began to slow compared to the highs that it saw in 2021. In its October quarter, Microsoft reported growth in its intelligent cloud business slowed to 20% year over year. Now that shows you how as well they have performed this year. So it hasn't been an easy year for the tech stocks in the US, and we hope next year probably things get a little bit better with the easing of inflation. That's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching SMART24 TV. And this is, of course, now getting into the Christmas season. I want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas wherever you're going to be, and safe returns on Monday. See you next time, and goodbye for now.